verses 40, or chapter 42 of Job. Basically, how dare you? How dare you come to me? Have you seen the snow, the strongholds of snow that I have? Were you there when I laid the foundations of the earth? And Job repents in verse 40, or chapter 40, verse 4 of Job. So, in the previous case of Job, he's righteous, and God even said this man is righteous, probably the most righteous man on earth. But he comes to God and says, I'm righteous, and you're wrong. Why? Explain yourself, because you have to explain this to me. And it sounds like Habakkuk is saying the same thing. However, chapter 2, verse 1, Habakkuk has just finished saying everything about how what God's doing is wrong because these people worship idols. And he says, I will stand my watch and set myself on the rampart and watch to see what he will say to me and what I will answer when I am corrected. So Habakkuk is coming with an attitude of, we can see his heart here, that he's not actually saying, God, you're wrong and I'm right. He's saying, it seems to me like you're wrong, and I understand that you are right. I already know the principle that your judgments are true and righteous altogether. And so I'm going to come to you now and say, this really doesn't seem right to me, but I'm going to stand where you have placed me. I'm going to stand in my watch on the rampart, on the city wall, as a watchman, looking for the destruction of the people. Before he gets an answer, he says, I'm going to stand here and watch for the destruction that you have told me is coming. So Habakkuk has faith in the Lord, and he has the right attitude of saying, and even though it seems wrong to me, I know that you're going to correct me. So I'm going to see what I'll say to you. So not only is he watching, but he's watching to see what God will say to him and how Habakkuk will answer after he has been corrected and rebuked. It's almost like he's welcoming correction, which is the sign of a wise man. That understands the principle that whoever God loves, that's who he chastens. That's who he corrects. So, we see in this overarching story of, it's a historical fact, the Babylonians came, did not leave one stone on top of each other, tore down the temple, tore down the walls, took everybody into captivity. Israel was judged. And even at the personal level, Habakkuk is saying, I'm saying something that is wrong because God is true. And I welcome the correction that you're going to give me. So God is going to bring correction or judgment, very minor judgment in this particular case, because his heart is right, and he looks forward to that reproof, because then he gets to understand God's heart better. So we should also have that same attitude. And so God, in verse 2 of chapter 2, the Lord answered Habakkuk and says, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And that's really comforting to me, that God will make his plans known. And he'll even say, look, I'm going to show you what will happen. And I want you to make it plain so that others can understand it. When God reveals stuff to us, it's so that we can reveal it to other people and edify the whole body. That's the whole point. So that somebody that comes behind can look at this tablet, make it plain on the tablet, that he may run who reads it. That the person can understand that there's an army coming to bring judgment, so that he can run away and be saved. I mean, it's very practical and very simple, straightforward. What God says here, he answers him all the way through verse 20 of chapter 2. He says, have confidence that the tool of judgment will themselves be judged. That's the point that he's getting across here. Yes, I'm raising up this evil nation to judge the holy nation, because the holy nation isn't so holy right now. But don't worry. This vision is yet for an appointed time. There is a time when what he says here in chapter 2 will come to pass, that the full measure of evil will be done by this evil people, and then my judgment will come upon them. And I'm going to tell you why I'm doing all this stuff. In verse 4, he says, behold the proud. So these people that are coming are the prideful. You know, there's 3 root sins. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. And they're all woven together. And so these people are proud, and God despises the pride. And he loves the humble. He loves the humble heart that comes to him. But the just shall live by his faith. And so this is a watershed point in Scripture that basically sparked the entire Protestant Reformation. And Martin Luther's reading this, he was like, hey, the just shall live by faith. I don't have to walk up these stairs on my knees over and over to earn salvation. I can just have faith in God. And it's kind of interesting how this little minor prophet here has so many of these gems throughout it. And I would encourage you, we only have 15 more minutes, I would encourage you to go through and read it. It's only 3 chapters. I think it takes like 12 minutes to listen to it on an audiobook of a guy reading it out loud. So I think we